Okay, it's morning time and the sun is up, and it might actually be okay weather for testing out these two items. My shooting stick, which I bought a while back and didn't get to test yet, and the second item, my supposedly leak-proof palette, which I have to load up now with jelly gouache, which are a kind of a fairly runny affair. So that'll test the leak proofness quite well. So I don't know how leak proof the weather will be, but we'll get out fast so we can do some sort of a little test at least. So I have to get my all my materials together first. I'm traveling by foot, so this is all going to go in a little rucksack that I bring with me on field trips. So the big jelly gouache palette is too heavy to bring with me. So I'm going to bring colours that I use normally for landscapes. So it's only going to be some of the colours in this set that I'm bringing. And I don't need to fully load the palette either. Yellow ochre is going to be involved. There's going to be a lot of greens, a lot of browns, blues and a black, and probably some reds as well. I'll show you when I have it all loaded up. Okay, so I only have really small amounts of these packed, and I've tried to get most of the paint away from just the edges here, but there is going to be some that's going to stick to this silicone bit, and that's just part of life. When I come home, I'll check it and see how much paint I actually lost to the lid, and see how easy it is to clean as well. That'll be part of the test. So that fits down into the lid, and you just keep pressing it down. You've got a palette there, but I'm going to bring the palette with me off the set. I have to clean that, but that'll go clean in a plastic bag for transporting back home. So it's a better size palette, you know, and I have a few other things to organise as well. For example, the shooting stick is an awkward shape and length, so that has to get some sort of a little strap on it that it'll go over my shoulder to carry it, because I don't fancy using it as a walking stick. It's a very heavy kind of an item for that. That might even function as a little table for painting on. You know, if I want to switch between trying it sitting and trying it with a little drawing board, I might bring a wooden palette with me as well to use as a drawing board to put my sketch pad on, see if that works. So a couple of things to get ready before I go out, and to get dressed as well. I'm not really dressed. I just saw the sunshine and said, okay, I'm doing this test today if the weather will hold for me. I suppose I should show you the little lock on this, because it comes with a water thing, and it goes into that water container, which is a fold-out water container. And when it goes in, when you're packing it up to transport it, it took me a while to figure out this lock to get it off, but that little hook bit hooks onto the bottom, and that holds it in basically. So you can't kind of, you know, just pull it apart when it's like that. That has to come off first. Okay, so slight change of plans. I have decided that once I got my kit together, that it's all going to fit in my dear old sketching bag, which is a very small bag that goes, it's a bit wrecked now, but it goes sideways over you, and you can just dip in and get your materials. And the reason I thought of that was it occurred to me that I don't really need to even bring the palette, which is a little bit big, or a drawing board, which doesn't really fit on the top of the shooting stick flat without risk of falling, I reckon. I haven't tried it here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one side of the page of this sketch pad as my mixing palette, and paint on the other side, because that gouache, the jelly gouache I'm using, dries so fast. So that little kind of, not really waterproof, but a bit weatherproof, nice hardcover sketch pad is going with me, nice landscape size. And this one, which isn't as sturdy, but it's handy to have a couple of sketch pads with you in case you're waiting for something to dry. And I might be drawing as well as painting. So I brought 2 pencils, a mechanical pencil and a kind of softer pencil, something to pair with a pen, because I often do pen drawings when I'm out. 3 different size brushes, all rounds, including a small one, and that's the biggest brush I'm going to need for that size small sketch pad, and a rubber to rub things out with. And this little handy device is, you could make this with any sort of bit of cardboard or anything, just to protect the brushes from bending in your bag, you see. So it's very handy. Have all my paints in there. I need a container for water. I don't need that much water, but I don't like that slopping around noise. So I filled the container up. And talking of slopping around noises, this weird device on the bottom of my shooting stick isn't to protect the spike or anything like that, or stop me spiking myself, because it doesn't really do that. It stops this rattling a bit. I don't like rattling noises when I'm walking along, and you can see that for walking along, I have the strap on it now. I've just rigged up a little strap, so that goes crossways across my body as well. And it seems comfortable just standing, so I don't know what it'll be like walking. I don't need my palette knife to come with me. So I think that's the whole kit, basically. My sketch pad, water, a rag, a wet rag for wiping off the brushes. That's going to be important. And hopefully all the work will dry fast. And, you know, if it doesn't, you'd be tearing out a leaf of your sketch pad and putting it in between carefully. But like, sometimes you arrive home with some of the sketches slightly messed up. But I have noticed that the jelly gouache dries quickly. But I have to get out there quickly now, because it's already clouding up. This is Ireland. This is why it wasn't worth packing up a big major bag for it, I reckon. So they should fit nicely in my little bag and not be too heavy. And hopefully the shooting stick won't be too heavy or awkward on my back either. We'll see. Okay, off I go. And the last bit of kit I brought with me is my jacket that has lots of pockets in it. And I have all my gear slung on me, and it's, you know, it's comfy. This looks like a very promising spot, because if I get in to behind hedges and things, I get to paint that for a while and in off the road a bit, hopefully. Okay, so I have my seat set up very quickly. It's adjustable to different heights, and that nut, just the screw, just screws into little holes along it till you get the height you want. So that should take the weight off the feet a bit. Moment of truth. Let's see if the pallet arrived okay. I didn't walk that much though, so didn't get that much of a bashing around. And I brought the palette knife in the end, just in case. That's not too bad. You know, I knew there were going to be bits getting stuck in between, but it didn't get bounced around too bad, so that's good. It's usable. And that's a nice light colour, so hopefully I won't lose it in the grass or anything like that. This is actually pretty chilled out. Frogs now. Oh my goodness, look at this weather now. Didn't we strike it lucky? Getting a chance to do all the lovely clouds. Very enjoyable. Okay, so that's interesting. It's gone right down into the boggy ground, but held me for about the hour while I was painting that. So it can handle really wet ground. Alright, so here I am back, and a pretty successful expedition. let's see, I don't know how long I was out, about an hour and a half maybe, but I got 2 things done. Got to use my jelly gouache and tried doing a sketch, but the lighting had changed on the mountains, so I said, well, I might just leave that because I'm not really sketching the same thing, and I didn't want a whole day's expedition. I just wanted to test these out and do a little bit of work. So I rattled this about coming home. I emptied all the water out back into my jar that I brought with me, left the place as nice as I found it, and I rattled this about a bit more than when I went out, just for testing purposes. So if I open it up again, we might be able to see whether it sustained any damage. So you see, I ended up using the lid as a palette, even though that wasn't the original plan, because sitting down on the shooting stick, it just was handy to hold this, and then I had only to reach for water. I might actually be able to rig up something on the shooting stick. The handles on the side of it might be able to clip some sort of a little board onto it, to bring my water up right beside me as well, because it's not much fun reaching down for things. So let's see how much damage there is. Oh, they actually didn't move around as much as I thought they would, because that was sideways when I was coming home. I wasn't being careful at all. This is obviously going to have to be washed. I mean, I was expecting that. That side has to be washed as well. That palette actually, I think, slides out, so you can separate it, but I'd no reason to, you know. So this is why I didn't put very much paint in when I went out, because they get absolutely wrecked. Because, you know, although I brought my palette, you don't use your palette really for taking out the paints. It's too fiddly out in the field to be doing all that. So I was just dipping in brushes as I was working. So I probably won't get rid of the remaining paint. I'll keep working with the, you know, more sketches from this and messing around with textures and everything, and use the rest of that paint on it. I don't want to waste paint, you know. But I will clean the lid, and I'll clean that, because I might do that today. I want to make this testing video today. So that'll just be washed, ready for my next expedition or to be used again. The other thing that worked very well was this end of the shooting stick, because it has that little plate that folds out flat. The spike doesn't go all the way into the ground and you end up buried down to here. And you could see on the video just how wet that ground was. I nearly sank into it myself, but it held me up because of this little clever plate. So that was good. And the string also gets a good review, because I thought I might have to have a more complicated thing to make it comfortable on my back. But that was enough. And then attach it the other end to the handle, and it stayed snug on my back, didn't bounce around or make jangly noises. It was grand. So, successful kit. I was nervous about spending money on the shooting stick because it was not cheap, but it got me up at the height that I wanted, and is adjustable height-wise. Doesn't work as a table because it's too low for that, so you can't put your sketch pad down on it like a surface, you know, and work away like that. But it was still very functional and good, so I liked that. So that's a nice kit for just bringing out in a small bag like that for me, and I was happy enough with that. So anytime the mood takes me, I can lash out of the house and go off when I have an hour or two of nice weather and take advantage of it. It's Ireland, so the weather doesn't last. So both items, the portable palette, which has to be washed now, got a great review. Very handy, didn't move around too much, stayed secure, and worked for the jelly gouache, which are a very runny sort of a paint. It worked perfectly for those. No leakage anywhere out of it. So highly successful. So I'm happy with that.